Yeah, and I mean, so that's why you see when you see, I know we've all saw on TV or maybe that's why it's like overwhelming for the staff. It's not just the doctors and nurses, or the specialists, meaning speech pathologists, physical therapists, um, even
Anyone in
security.
the hospital has to
Even
do this.
security, like say for instance, if somebody came up and they had to go into the room, on a COVID floor into the room, say if they still had personal belongings that needed to be put up. So security now has to gown and glove and go in there, and they have to take account of everything that person had. Maybe money. Maybe they were in had their laptop or whatever. So security have to go in. Then you also have the medical assistants, CNAs or PCTs, patient care techs. They have to go in as well. So it's like overwhelming because these are the rooms that you have to go in. And before you go in, you have to put on your stuff in a certain manner. You got to use hand sanitizer first. Then you put on your first set of gloves. Then you use another hand sanitizer. Then you got to put the booties on. Then you got to put your hand sanitizer. You putting on the your plastic gown. Then you got another on the plastic glove, and you want to put your mask on. It's N95 mask if it's just a tier 2, which is a possible positive person, or then tier 3, you putting on an N95 plus another surgical mask on top of that.
Oh,
And
wow.
then you put on the face shield, and once the face shield is on, then you putting a hat on over the face shield to try and protect so nothing is out. So they're putting that on every time they got to go in the room. So then if they call a rapid response, which is someone who's in distress with breathing. Normally, the rapid response would, be in the hospital if somebody fell, or if they're not breathing properly, or if you seeing like a drop in some type of vital or whatever. But 9 times out of 10 for COVID, a rapid response as they coming in because the oxygen level is under where it needs to be. So they calling in a team, which is like 8, 9, 10 people. So now you got to make sure they have in the surgical team and other places in the hospital. They having teams come in to help people put on their gear, make sure they put it on properly to not protect themselves from going in. So it's protecting them from going in from the patient, and then when they're coming out, they got to take it out a proper way to continue to make sure they protect themselves and everybody else that they've been in come in contact with.
So they have to do this process. So
wait, hold on, I got a question.
Yeah.
I was just because she said she got sick, and I want to know what did you get, like a cold? Did you
Yeah, I tested positive. I tested positive for COVID.
Okay.
Do you think you caught it from there, from work?
Yeah, I think that's where I think I got it from. But then because it was so new, and well, not so new, but we were still learning different stuff with it. We didn't know at that point. We knew about it. People were confirmed cases that were in the hospital, but this was before. Like now, you can't if you have to drop a loved one off at the hospital, you can't come in with them. If that person is sick if it's because they fell and broke an ankle and needed to come to the hospital, or any other circumstance that would bring somebody to the hospital besides COVID, delivering in labor, anything. If you coming in, possible heart attack, if you coming in, only that person can come. The loved one can't come with them because of the COVID scare. So at that point, it hadn't got the government hadn't shut all of that down yet.
Yeah.
So it was people that was in the hospital that could have been positive. Like, you could have been my brother, with me in the hospital, and you in the room with me, and I got COVID. It was too new to know, okay, how is this stuff being transmitted? Now you have it. Now you walking through the halls coughing and touching stuff, and you in the cafeteria coughing. So it was almost like, okay, the grocery stores, people still growing grocery shopping, still in the mall, still. That's how that stuff got so bad. And I think that because New York was hit so bad, so hard, New York was everybody's lesson. You start seeing what was going on with that. And I think the reason why the state of Illinois didn't get as bad, for one, the mayor of Chicago is absolutely amazing. And the governor, they stepped up and did what they, like, to me, they saved a ton of lives. And that was because of the actions they took. And then also from what we were seeing going on in China and other Asian countries, as well as New York.
Right. Yeah, I think New York was an example for all.
Mm-hmm.
So what was some of your symptoms? Like what was your personal experience dealing with COVID-19?
It was terrible. It was terrible physically and mentally because, you seeing people die on you watching the stuff on TV, you hearing, they saying like the major age group was 65 and older, or people with comorbidities, meaning if you can be any age and have hypertension or have diabetes or have other ailments, cancer, you could be a cancer survivor, but any type, autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, you can be any age and have all of that. So you got the other comorbidities that can take out anybody within any age. But of course, the older groups, because as we get older, of course, typically most of us will develop high blood pressure because our veins and stuff aren't as as pliable as it is when you're younger. So it may not do as much. So typically most of us get high blood pressure when we get older because the blood flow or whatever. Anyway, that's that. So I'm like, okay, so is it an issue? Because when I was in nursing school, I developed high blood pressure. It's controlled. I'm not taking a high dose of high blood pressure medicine, but I have it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it started off where it was just a cough, but I didn't feel bad.
Right.
But at work, they like, okay, you coughing? Okay, put a mask on. You coughing? Go home. Then I couldn't come back until I was okay through the doctor. Then, I had to take my temperature. If I had a temperature, I couldn't come back. So everything, it starts with a low grade temperature, but we know it can shoot up. So I started off with like a temperature of 99.5 and I didn't feel nothing, but I just had a cough. 3-4 days into it, and I had severe chills while I was shaking so bad my teeth was chattering. My temperature got up to 103. My temperature got up to 103. I couldn't taste. I couldn't smell. My head hurt real bad. So so it started off with the cough, and then my head and my back was hurting. But I have like a bulging disc, so I'm thinking like, okay, that's just with my back. But then it got to the point where it was like, oh my God, my back is killing me. Then you coughing, so now your chest hurt from coughing, your throat hurt, and my stomach hurt from coughing. It felt like I did 1,000,000 sit-ups. So I had a headache, severe headache, backache, cough, chills, high fever, couldn't smell, couldn't taste. And then like I found like some of the shortness of breath, like I didn't notice. I would get up and try and walk to the window and come lay back down. And then I was on the phone with my friend and she's like, you sound short of breath. And she in the medical field too. And I was like, it is a little bit. So it's something that's called like chest physiotherapy that they do for people, little kids, to kind of break up film. So I started patting my own self, trying to cough up whatever. And then so you can't take any ibuprofen or Motrin. So that's an anti-inflammatory. So it's something within that's the properties of that. I'm not sure if it's like something with cytokines, CYTOKINES. I think, I'm not sure. Don't quote me. It's something with that the body that helps flare up and the virus releases more, whatever with that. So you can't take any like anti-inflammatory medicine, which is NSAIDs. NSAIDs is the anti-inflammatory medicine. That's Advil, Motrin, ibuprofen. That's the same thing. Motrin, ibuprofen is the same thing. Motrin is the name brand. Ibuprofen is the generic name.
Oh, okay.
You can't take that. So NSAIDs is all like anti-inflammatory disease. That's Advil, ibuprofen. Yeah. You can't take aspirin, all of that. So you can only take
going around, but I wasn't true. Know how true that was. I seen people saying that out and texting it.
Well, yeah, because that was also at when they called you, when they call you and tell you if it's a possibility of you having or if you have it, that they tell you not to take it. So they tell you to take Tylenol. So you taking Tylenol, and Tylenol is not helping with the back pain. So here it is. I got a headache and my back hurt for like 8 to 10 days. Dang. And then GI was a new thing with it. They started hearing people having diarrhea, which is GI, which is basically the gastrointestinal. So it's from as soon as you swallowing to your stomach, your intestines, your esophagus. GI would be like if you had like stomach flu and you throwing up and diarrhea and all that stuff. So diarrhea started being an issue. So then I had diarrhea and vomiting. So then I had diarrhea and vomiting for like 8 to 10 days.
And this was like after you had already went through several days.
Yeah. So I was down for almost a month.
Wow. So it's like all the symptoms have like a phase.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if you could say all the symptoms have a phase because they affect everybody differently. Okay. So some people, I had a friend because my friends, some of my close friends, my close friends and family knew I had it. So the ones that knew that I had it, if they tested positive, they was texting me, asking me like, what is this? What should I do? What is this? What is this? So I had a friend who worked at a jail and was next to somebody and they tested at a prison rather. The person she knew tested positive. They sent her a letter and they told her, you got to get tested. She came back positive. All she had was a slight headache one day, and she was really kind of like, she'll get dizzy or weak. That was her basic symptoms. That was it. Wow. Then you have my symptoms, and then you got the other people's symptoms that can't breathe and got to go in the hospital and get. I know somebody that was hospitalized for about 3-4 days, couldn't breathe. Thank God got better, but then you got people like that can't breathe. Then you got a nasal cannula, that's the one that go in your nose. Then you got the face mask, so they got 15 liters in the nasal cannula, which is not normal. It only normally go up to 6. Then you got the face mask that's giving you another 15 liters, and then it's not going. So now you go to CPAP, which is a machine that forces air into you, and then it goes to intubation.
Oh wow!
Now, question:
Wait, I had something else because I was thinking that too about the symptoms because I low key I think I had it because it was like I want to say it was like 3 or 4 days straight. I just had a massive migraine. My back was aching. I had cramps in my stomach. Like I was like down for like 3 days, 3-4 days, and it was like just. I kind of know my body, and I was just like, this just don't feel
something not right.
Yeah, something not right. But I never got a fever. So I was checking my temperature every day, like all that. I never got a fever.
She never had a fever or cough, none of that. So it's saying it's not different strands, and then somebody said it is different strands. I don't know. I think it's just like I don't know if it's body. Yeah, I feel like it's different strands because it's like if you get this one, it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't think we know enough about it, and I'm not a doctor or a scientist. Let me say that disclaimer: I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm just a registered nurse that end up getting sick, and I'm seen. So they want you to take a Tylenol, and we know, you give Tylenol for fevers to break a fever. Yeah. But I felt like normally when we have a fever, that's our body way of fighting off infection. That seems like if you cut your leg, if you cut your finger, and it's getting like a form of infection, you got fever, it turns red.
Right.
You get it might be hot. That's a fever. That's your body natural way of starting it. You can feel pain. That's like something ain't right. So that's your body's natural defense. So the fever is to the Tylenol is to help with can help with some pain and reduce the fever. But I was like, no, I'm not finna take it. I'm not gonna take a Tylenol yet. I'm not gonna let it get too high because of course with adults it get too high, and with anybody get too high that's disaster. Disaster can happen. You can die from a fever being too high and not controlled. But so I just let it. I was under the covers, shaking, and then I took my Tylenol. I took my temperature, and then I think I dozed off. I woke up and I took it again, and it was 103. So I was like, okay, that's dangerous. I can't let it get too high. So then I took off everything, but I had like your t-shirt and my undergarments. I took my socks off. I took Tylenol and just started drinking like fluids, water, Gatorade, juice. I just started drinking. And then I took my temperature and it was going down. So I played with it like that. I played with it because I'm like,
so
okay,
was
my
you
body
scared
is
to go back to work?
Yes and no. I was at first because then I had, people that I know and that ICU nurses and people that work in the OR and stuff, they calling me and letting me know what's going on and they telling me what's going on and it sound terrible. They telling me, I start crying just with them telling me stuff. I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But then they started saying that, if you had it, it's immunity, you can't get it again. Then they saying you can. So, then they saying like, yeah, you can get it again. But if you have antibodies a form of herd immunity. That's what they talking about. Like the governor, if he's saying herd immunity, which is like a lot of us having it and building up antibodies. Is, I don't know if this, even though you can get it again, it's almost like if you get like the shot for chickenpox, or your body, it's the antibody. It's just like like the little, how I try to remember it would be like if that toy that has like the square, the circle, the baby's got to fit in a box.
Oh
it's
yeah.
That's how your body fights stuff. So if you come in and they so I have an immunity against, say, if the COVID, the strand got the little spikes on it.
Right.
So then I have within your immunity system, your white blood cells, helper T cells, helper T cells, all of that. So it's a specific antigen that can go in with the antibody that can find that specific one with the spikes, which can then once they find it, then your body disperse the
they get rid of it,
the armies to fight it. So and that's as long as it don't mutate, because now you got the flu. The flu mutates every year. That's why we take a different flu shot. So if that strain come back around that we've been got the shot against, it'll help. So that's with that. So then I was scared, like, okay, how would that happen if I get it again? Would I get sick worse? Would it be worse for me, or I don't know. But I'm like, but this what I went to school for. This is the thing is, when you get a lot of people that say this is what we signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's true in a way, yes and no, because I didn't sign up to go and try and fight a disease that we know nothing about and don't know how to cure, and I'm putting myself and my family at risk. I didn't sign up for that, but I did sign